Good morning and welcome to Backyard and Beyond. Just checking with Chris to see if he has all his shopping done. How about you? The days are counting down. It is the 20th of December. And talking about that, are there some special holiday foods that you're planning to make, some of which may take more than one day, so you have to plan ahead. But, what do you have some traditions in your family in terms of what you might serve over the holidays? Let's start with the meat dish. Turkey is, of course, the one we always talk about at Thanksgiving, but for some people, turkey is also their Christmas main dish. And then there are some other poultry kinds of things. Anybody do Cornish hens? Just roasted chicken? Pheasants? Anybody have any pheasants they've been out hunting or have in the freezer? How about capons or the Christmas goose? And I know that one of our restaurants usually serves the Christmas goose around the holidays. So there's lots of poultry choices. And, talking about turkey reminds me of that story that probably most everybody heard, and it relates to tradition, and that is that one family always cut one leg off of the turkey before they put it into the oven. So why was that? Well, finally somebody asked the question and went back in history, I'm not sure how many generations back, and they found out the reason was that the turkey didn't fit in the oven unless they cut the leg off. So people just kept doing that without asking why. And so some of our traditions are perhaps a little funny. Most of them are very much treasured, but traditions are really important. And back to the main dish, the meat, maybe a steak is your favorite thing to serve over the holidays. Or standing rib roast, something probably a lot of people don't serve very often, and maybe never. And then there's the family that thinks prime rib is the absolutely perfect main dish for the holidays. And then there's ham. So, do you have a favorite kind of meat dish? Maybe one that I haven't mentioned, actually, that you always have for your family holiday meal. And we're going to talk about some others, but before we do that, I found a list, of course, on the internet of the 5 most fattening foods. Now, and that would be served traditionally for the holidays. I wasn't sure that I agreed with some of them in terms of being tradition. The first one on their list was macaroni and cheese. I don't think of that as a holiday dish, but obviously for some people that is a very special dish. I think of that as, you really, when you're in a hurry, you take it out of a box. But if it's for holiday, people probably make it from scratch. Anyhow, macaroni and cheese is relatively high in calories and fat. And other things on the list won't surprise you, I'm sure. Eggnog. If you go for the real thing, you add some alcohol to it, wow, that'll blow your mind. Maybe as much as 500 calories or 600 calories per cup. Hey, you can have half of your day's calories in 1 cup of eggnog. And one of my favorites, pecan pie. Oh, so you've got the pie crust, and then you have all those eggs in there and lots of sugar. And then if you want to up the calories a little bit, I have a recipe that I actually just made that you add small chocolate chips to the regular pecan pie recipe, so we just add a few more fat calories. And carrot cake, oh my goodness, one of the yummiest kinds of cake as far as I'm concerned. But it's not the cake, it's not the carrots, it's all that cream cheese frosting that makes it really yummy. And if you really want to cut the calories a little bit, you can use the light cream cheese and cut a little bit. But when you put it all together, it's pretty high. And another one that is not a dessert, but the cheese ball. Yeah, that's pretty much total fat right there in that cheese ball. And then you roll it in some nuts, and the nuts are good for you, except that they just add some more calories when you've already got a lot going. Anyhow, in one person's list, those are the 5 most fattening holiday foods. You might have many others to add to that. And of course, you've heard the advice, if you don't eat the whole cheese ball or you don't eat the whole pecan pie, just, have a little. It's okay to splurge a little bit at the holidays. Well, what are some of your other holiday kinds of foods that are your favorite, and why are they your favorite? Is it because they absolutely taste the best of anything you could think of? Or is it tradition? Or do you make it only at holiday times because it requires more time or specialized equipment or ingredients that are difficult to get? You know, those may be reasons to make it only at holiday time, but it's important because it is a tradition. If that's true, there's something you only make at Christmas time, and I'm not sure I'm going to say this right. Pepper snooze, I think is the right thing. I've never made those teeny little gingery cookies. Not sure how difficult they are to make. The one thing I know is if you don't hide them, they can. I mean, they'll disappear in a hurry. If you kind of store them away, they'll keep forever, and they're still good next spring, but they probably won't be there because everybody who makes those loves them. What about in this area? There probably are some Danish kinds of foods that are made only at holidays time. The Scandinavian one is lefse. Well, that takes some extra skill as well as some extra work and a couple of days because you need to let part of the dough set overnight. And then, is it again because it's tradition or because it is one of your favorite things to eat? Some other people have shared some of their traditional things that take either special ingredients or extra time, but you know, that's what makes them special. One person said they have a Polish cookie that are little knots of crispy fried dough covered in powdered sugar, and the dough is hard to roll out. The recipe takes several steps, so that makes it a little more of a challenge. Now here's one, and actually I was watching TV last night, watching Foodography. I've never watched that program before, and this is one of the things they featured on it was bacala, not the dessert thing. This is made with fish, a fish soup, and the difficult part of this recipe is finding the major ingredient, which is salted dried cod. And then, of course, you have to soak the cod before you can actually get into making the recipe. So another one of those things that just takes extra time. Another person said it was the caramels, that it was from Grandma's recipe. And if you're not right there watching every step, they get ruined. They're either too hard or too soft. And they take time to cool, they take time to wrap, I know because I have one of those recipes and it takes a half an hour of stirring just to get it to the right temperature. But oh my goodness, when they are done, they are really yummy. Another person wrote in and said that, and this was somebody with an Indian tradition from India, that it's kind of a fried funnel cake covered with sugary syrup, and it requires saffron, cardamom, and a special piece of equipment. So it's something that not everybody would have around if they wanted to make it. And here's one that would not be on my list, but obviously there are some people who love them. That's fried oysters. And I would add to my list, easy to make, but not my favorite thing to eat, is oyster soup. That was always a tradition for Christmas Eve when I was growing up. So that was not my favorite meal, but there was always something else to eat. You know, it wasn't like we were really going to run out of something to eat. Well, how about this? I'm sure this is not a tradition around here, but this is kind of fun to read about, a Christmas pudding. And the person who wrote about this said it's a recipe handed down for generations. It's made a month before Christmas with dried fruit, butter, sugar, eggs, breadcrumbs, brandy, and spices. Nothing there too unusual. Then it is plopped onto flour covered calico cloth, boiled for 6 hours, and then hung in a dry place until Christmas. And you can't touch it because it might break the seal, so-called, and then it would start getting moldy. It's heavy and it requires 2 people to lift, so this has to be a big recipe. And on the day of serving, it's boiled again for 2 hours and accompanied with cream or custard mixed with brandy. Boy, that sounds like a lot of work to me. But again, the important thing with all of this is whether it is the tradition, whether perhaps it's the family members working together, it's the good times that go along with all of the good flavors and special things that we do at the holidays. Whether it's food or some other tradition, those are important items for families to carry on. And then for some families, it's time to make new traditions. So whichever, we're counting down to that special Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Hope you're enjoying all of those times now and following those special days. Until next time, here's a thought. The universe is full of magical things, patiently waiting for our wits to grow sharper.